A study was done a little while ago on the federal judiciary. I wish we had these studies for all other appointments by the Biden administration. And apparently his first 2 years, President Biden had appointed 97 federal judges. Of the 97 federal judges, I was expecting maybe 25 or 30 were white guys, because I know President Biden wasn't heavy on appointing more white guys. 5 of the 97 judges were white guys. Of those, 2 were gay. So almost impossible for a white guy who's not gay, apparently, to get appointed here.
So that's Glenn Grothman, which actually is what I would have guessed his name was had I not known. He's very annoyed that you can't become a judge if you're white. Sorry, and straight. For some reason, if you're white and gay, that doesn't count. I guess even for a white nationalist, that's not good enough. But anyway, he's aggrieved about the way that Biden is going about choosing his nominees. He thinks it's unfair. His numbers are also wrong, not like wildly off, but they're not accurate. I doubt that's gonna bother him. So let's take a look at what Biden has actually done. And let's see if we can determine if Biden is being unfair to white judges. So here is at this certain point in their presidency, how many judges different presidents have been able to confirm, which by this, even with Dianne Feinstein sort of screwing the Democrats over for a while, Biden is still leading the pack way more than Obama was able to. And he's still technically got some more presidency. We'll see how effective it is. And when you break it down, yes, he was disproportionately nominating and confirming people of color, women, about 2 out of every 3 for both of those categories. And you can directly compare it to the past presidents. For Trump, people of color represented just 16% of those confirmed by Trump. So not a priority, obviously. That is like disproportionately low compared to the population. It was only 36% under Obama. 1 in 4 were women under Trump, 42% under Obama. So he was doing a little bit better. Trump was obviously going out of his way to screw them over. But what you have to bear in mind is, like, that's what has happened over the last 800 days. But that doesn't necessarily represent just what he thinks he would always need to do. He is trying to balance the scales, I guess, of justice in this case. Because if you look at the American Bar Association, they found that only 4% of federal judges were black women. 78% are white men. Of the 68 judges that Biden has appointed, they don't include 29 he's appointed since, 2 are white men. So what he's trying to do is balance it out just a little bit. And Glenn Grothman, of course, is not gonna give you the numbers for the judges that are out there, what sort of diversity or lack there is out there in the population. He's only gonna talk about the newer ones because he doesn't want you to realize that white men have very much done just fine when it comes to becoming a judge historically. What do you think, Brett?
I mean, this is a moral question that everybody has, like philosophically, is like, how do you solve a problem? Because the solution to something that's been unjust for a while is to undo that injustice. But in undoing that injustice, you open yourself up for the possibility of dudes like this to make this complaint. Like, it's been so unrepresentative for so long. And even Republicans will be like, no, I totally get it. Someone will say there's racism in the system, and yeah, it's disproportionate. But when you pose like an actual solution over time that isn't completely, it doesn't necessarily result in unqualified people getting appointed. Like you have to question folks on the Republican side, like, well, then how do you solve a problem like this? And they'll never give you a way to solve it that doesn't involve someone just utilizing their power the way he wants to utilize it. And for Biden, this is great. This is exactly the kind of stuff that the Republicans do on the other side, where it's like it's no skin off his ass to Beulah to appoint somebody who is on paper will make the same decisions as a white male, and also at the same time, shores up his delivers on a promise he made. Those are hard to come by, delivering on a promise that he made. And that's good kind of pressure that you can make politically, is to result in actual tangible results that close a divide like this, or close a gulf like this that has existed, as John pointed out.
Yeah, 100%. And to close, yeah, I have no doubt that almost every right winger would consider this to be an unacceptable way to solve the problem of lack of representation amongst those groups. But I believe that most of them, if you ask them, well, what if there was only 5% of white men? Do you feel like we should nominate more to close the gap? I have a feeling they'd be okay with it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.